When I first moved into Margot's house, I only wanted quiet. The city had drained me. Too many memories, too many faces I didn't want to see again. I found her listing online. Private studio, sunny garden view, month-to-month lease. It sounded like peace, and that's all I thought I needed. Margot opened the door the day I arrived, barefoot, holding a cup of coffee. Her smile wasn't the practice kind. It was warm, patient, the kind that made silence comfortable. "You must be Claire," she said, voice smooth like she'd practiced calm her whole life. "Yes, ma'am," I answered, before realizing how formal I sounded. She laughed lightly. "Please don't call me ma'am. You'll make me feel ancient. It's Margot." The house smelled like lemon soap and sunlight. She showed me the upstairs studio, polished wood floors, a big window, bookshelves lined with novels, and a tiny balcony that overlooked her garden. I remember thinking, I could start over here. In the first weeks, we rarely crossed paths. I'd hear her footsteps downstairs, the clink of dishes, or faint music through the vents, mostly jazz. Every Sunday morning, she watered her plants in the backyard, hair up, loose shirt falling off one shoulder. I'd watch from my window, pretending to read. Then, one evening, the power went out during a thunderstorm. The house was silent, except for rain hitting the windows. I was fumbling with candles when she knocked on my door. "Do you mind company?" she asked, holding a flashlight. Her hair was damp, a strand clinging to her cheek. We sat on the couch with wine she brought. Apparently, she never faced storms without a bottle. She talked about her late husband, how she'd inherited this house, and how renting the upstairs was her way of not feeling alone. I told her about leaving my ex, about how I didn't even know what I was looking for anymore. She listened quietly. Then she said something I've never forgotten. "Sometimes peace doesn't mean quiet, Claire. It means being seen, without noise." The storm lasted 2 hours. When it ended, she didn't leave right away. She looked at me for a long second, something soft in her eyes, and then smiled. "Good night, Claire," she whispered. I couldn't sleep that night. Her words echoed in the dark. Being seen. Summer rolled in slowly. By June, we had a quiet rhythm. She'd bring me levens from her garden. I'd help her fix things around the house, the fence, a dripping tap, a stubborn window. We never said much, but everything we did felt like saying something. One Sunday morning, she caught me outside, barefoot, holding a mug of coffee. "You're turning into me," she teased. "Maybe I'm just learning from the best," I said. She smiled, that slow, deliberate kind that travels all the way to her eyes. We started spending evenings together, sometimes dinner, sometimes just sitting on the porch, watching the sunset melt into gold. Once she reached over to brush something off my cheek. A leaf, maybe. But her hand lingered. The world felt still. I think that was the first time I realized I was in trouble. One night, she asked me if I wanted to help her move some boxes from the attic. We worked side by side, dust everywhere, laughing at old family photos and her ridiculous vintage dresses. When I tripped over a loose board, she caught me, both arms around me, steady and close. Her perfume, jasmine and rain, hit me first. Then her eyes. "Careful," she said softly, not letting go. "I think you just saved my life," I joked, but my voice cracked. We stayed like that too long. Neither of us moved. The air between us changed, thick with something unspoken but undeniable. She finally stepped back, clearing her throat. "You should get some air," she said, but her voice wasn't steady either. Later that night, I heard her pacing downstairs. I almost went down. Almost. Instead, I lay awake again, realizing peace wasn't what I'd found here. It was something else entirely.
It happened on a Friday. She'd invited me for dinner. Homemade pasta, candles, that soft jazz again. I told myself it was just gratitude. I wore a sundress anyway. Halfway through dinner, she looked up from her glass and said quietly, "Claire, you've brought a kind of life back into this house I didn't know I missed." I tried to laugh it off. "I'm just paying rent on time. You know it's more than that." Silence. Only the sound of rain starting outside again, like the night of the storm. She stood up, walked over to the window, then turned toward me. "I've tried not to," she said, voice shaking. "You're younger, you're my tenant. You deserve someone who doesn't come with this much history." "Margot." She took a breath. "But when you laugh in this house, it doesn't sound empty anymore, and I can't pretend I don't feel that." I stood too. My heart was racing. I didn't know what to say, so I didn't. I just walked closer until we were inches apart. "Then don't pretend," I whispered. She hesitated. Then she smiled, eyes shining with something between fear and freedom. Her hand found mine, just fingers, gentle, unsure, but real. We didn't rush anything. We just stood there, rain outside, candles flickering, the world shrinking to the quiet space between us. Finally, she said, "What happens now?" And I said, "We live with it, one day at a time." That was 6 months ago. We still keep things quiet. She's still my landlady, technically, but the lines between upstairs and downstairs, between friendship and something more, have blurred beautifully. Sometimes I wake up to the smell of her coffee and her laugh echoing up the stairs. Sometimes I still look out that same window, watching her water the garden, barefoot, sunlight on her skin, and I remember the girl who just wanted quiet. I found something better. I found home.